Passwords will always be the single biggest failure point of any network or login. It makes no difference how good your internal procedures are or how tight your rules and policies are configured. If you're using weak or easy passwords, you are already on the target list. This was said by Mark James, an information security specialist for ESET. Today, Levi, Matthew, Samantha, and I will be providing you with helpful ways to keep your information protected online using complex and secure passwords. As cybersecurity students, we have studied the rise of security breaches and compromised systems, and have found a direct correlation to deficient passwords. Passwords are a way of life for anyone who uses software. They are your first line of defense in the digital world we live in, where data breaches, security bugs, and password cracking software are becoming more and more prevalent. With the advancements in computing power, cybercriminals have more sophisticated tools available to them than ever before, making it even easier for them to steal your personal information. While additional password complexities may seem like an inconvenience, creating strong and secure passwords is vital for safeguarding the systems you rely on every day. The single most important aspect of information security is having a strong password. Today, we will be discussing the dangers of having a weak password, providing you with some helpful tips on how to create a strong passphrase, and some of the resources available, like multi-factor authentication, biometrics, and password management tools that play a critical role in comprehensive online security. Before we discuss how to create a complex and unique password, it is important to understand why a strong password is necessary and the risks involved of not having a secure password. After all, you may be wondering, why would anyone want to steal my password anyway? Unfortunately, data breaches are occurring at a record pace. A 44.7% increase was reported in 2017 by the Identity Theft Resource Center, resulting in millions of people's personal information being compromised. Cybercriminals will attempt to steal your information in any way possible through the multitude of sophisticated password cracking techniques available. Password cracking involves a process of methodically determining or guessing a password in order to gain unauthorized access to a protected system. It often uses one of two techniques, dictionary or brute force attacks. Brute force attacks are the primary method hackers use to obtain passwords and can test up to 10 billion password combinations in seconds. Many of these password cracking programs are free and readily available to anyone with internet access, which is why it is imperative to create passwords that can withstand these attacks and avoid prying eyes. According to the 10th edition of the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report, 81% of hacking-related breaches were due to stolen and/or weak passwords. What's more troubling is the fact that 90% of user-generated passwords are vulnerable to hacking, according to a study published by the cybersecurity company Deloitte. Most data thieves target the unprepared, those who use simple, predictable, and weak passwords. It only takes 5 minutes for a hacker to break a 6-character, lowercase only password. In fact, some can be cracked in less time than it takes to type them. In contrast, an 8-character password with both uppercase and lowercase letters takes months to hack. Many people may not be aware that their password is considered weak by cybersecurity experts. A weak password is one that contains information about the user or a common and predictable word like password, 123456, or QWERTY. Here's a list of some of the passwords to avoid. These passwords can both be easily cracked and determined by malicious users without using any specialized software.
Now that we've discussed some of the dangers of having a weak password, let's explore some ways you can make your password stronger and more secure. Use the 8 plus 4 rule. Use 8 characters with one upper and one lowercase, a special character like an asterisk and a number. The more random, the better. Utilize passphrases. Abbreviations are usually immune to dictionary attacks. So TSWCOT for the sun will come out tomorrow is a good choice for a secure password. Then adding symbols and numbers makes this password even more secure. Do not make your password personal, such as birthdays, names, or maiden names. Reusing passwords also creates a threat, even if your password is randomly generated. If you use it on a website that didn't hash your password or encrypt it correctly, hackers can use it to potentially gain access to your other accounts with that password. Salt the password. Salting is a form of password encryption that uses a hashing algorithm. This creates a new string of characters that is much tougher to crack, with no risk of password reuse. Using a secure site, such as saltthepass.com, will help you create a salted password. The Salt the Pass site does not store any passwords or information, making it a more secure option. Make your password very long. This may seem too simple, but it is actually on the list of United States government recommended practices to make passwords more secure. Remember to use special characters, numbers, and capital letters, and use different spellings of words or even abbreviations. Note the password on the slide. I bet you can't guess my password. We have used a different spelling of the word I, an abbreviation, can't, and incorporated capital letters randomly and use special characters in place of letters. Play with your keyboard. This is great for those folks that need a visual to remember things. With most keyboards having between 101 to 105 possible characters, the sky's the limit with this one. Get creative. Make shapes on your keyboard that will help you remember your passwords visually. Refer to the visual on the slide. They are using the letter W on their keyboard, but not the literal letter W. This password would be 1QAZDRFVGY7. Use the Person Action Object method, also known as PAL. Start by thinking of a person. Queen Elizabeth II, for example. Now think of an action, like driving. Then think of an object, such as Mount Rushmore. Now put them together. Queen Elizabeth drives to Mount Rushmore. There's another method of this as well. Take an action and an object and create a new word, such as using driving and jello. This would be dryello. This method would be impenetratable by dictionary attacks. Do a one-off of this method and use special characters for an even stronger password. And finally, make sure you have a variety of passwords across your logins. Change your password regularly and keep it secure by not sharing or writing down your passwords.
Now that we've discussed the risk associated with weak passwords and how to make them more complex, let's discuss the best additional ways to stay secure online. Many users, in their attempt to create the right password, make it so tricky that they cannot remember it and have to write it down. Many store their password on a piece of paper that is easily accessible so that any person close to or having access to the computer can easily find it and use it. As we've pointed out, reusing your passwords can be dangerous. Yet most people only use 1, 2, or 3 slight variations of their password. Most choose an easy to memorize one for their social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter, a challenging password for their email account, and a more secure one for their online banking account. However, if you want to keep your information safe online, experts suggest making a strong and unique password for every account. An additional rule of thumb is, if it's impossible to remember, then it's a good password. Although even the most carefully crafted password can be rendered useless if not protected adequately. Password management software is an invaluable tool to secure your digital life. It exists to help make it easier to remember the multitude of user IDs and complex account passwords, as well as make it harder for hackers to access. Rather than trying to memorize or write down each site-specific password, you'll only need to remember one master password. You'll want it to follow our suggestions to make your password as secure as possible, about 8 or more characters in length with some numbers and special characters. Once you've committed that password to memory, the password manager does the rest for you. We offer a complex random password generator tool for each of your accounts, and are capable of storing not just your login credentials but other data, like credit card information and important documents. Most password managers come with a browser extension that will remember your account credentials and securely store and encrypt the information for you, making it easier and faster to log in next time. Other benefits include the ability to change or reset your passwords with ease, and are supported for use on multiple devices, usually in the form of a mobile app that links to your desktop. Some of the most reputable and noteworthy password managers include LastPass, 1Password, Dashlane, and KeePass. While these managers do come with their own risks, like the vendor's servers being hacked, the security features greatly outweigh any doubt and continue to be highly recommended by cybersecurity professionals as a powerful and vital tool to keep your information safe. Another way to secure your online presence is to utilize multi-factor authentication on your accounts. Multi-factor authentication means using a combination of the 3 authentication factors: something you know, something you have, and something you are. Passwords are notably the weakest form of authentication. Using a popular form of MFA called two-factor authentication, or 2FA, as an extra security measure for your web accounts makes sure that attackers require more materials to authenticate than just a password alone. There are several ways to provide 2FA for your account. SMS verification allows a text message to be sent to your phone. The text message contains a unique code that you must enter alongside your password. This form of verification assumes that you and only you own that phone number and the device associated with it. However, this can be worked around since an attacker can in theory spoof your number, or even perform social engineering against your cell provider to transfer your phone number to their device. Similar to SMS, this mode of authentication provides similar but better security for your accounts than SMS, since they cannot be spoofed. Some services, such as Steam and Blizzard, provide their own 2FA apps that have a rotating code that you must enter alongside your password. However, there are universal authentication apps, such as Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, and Duo Mobile, that provide rotating codes to be used across a variety of services, such as Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Gmail, and more. These authentication apps are activated usually by scanning a unique QR code or entering a code upon setup, permanently tying your device as a secondary something you have plus no factor toward your account. A series of one-time use backup codes are provided for you to print or store in a secure location should you lose your device. Not having these backup codes upon losing your device means permanent loss of your account. An alternative to inputting the code is sometimes the app asking for your approval to log in. Google utilizes this method on Android devices, prompting you to tap yes or no whenever you log in. In actuality, the past 2 forms of authentication mentioned are called two-step verification. This is due to them still requiring to know something, the codes to enter. A new and rising form of consumer 2FA are hardware keys and tokens, which have existed for a long time in the business space. These keys, called universal two-factor keys, are usually in the form of a USB drive. They have a unique signature upon manufacture, and are used as a true and physical something you have factor to be used alongside the something you know password. You plug in the key to your computer upon its request, providing the second form of authentication that your account needs to log in. One popular vendor is Yubico's YubiKey. These keys use a universal and widely accepted standard called FIDO, and can be used for a variety of authentication purposes, such as your Google account and Facebook, as well as for businesses and even encryption purposes, such as OpenPGP. The last form of authentication is biometrics. A popular use of these is in our phone's fingerprint readers. However, biometrics can also include formats, such as retinal scanners and facial recognition. Since our biological makeup and features can provide unique signatures, these provide the something you are factor and are often used in place of the something you know, such as a PIN, password, or pattern. While mainly used as the primary authentication format to access our phones, some apps, such as banking apps, can utilize it as a secondary factor after having permanently logged in with a password. However, in many businesses, biometrics is used in a true 2FA way, such as Google, in which you need to provide an access card and a retinal scan to enter data center areas. The push for two-factor authentication is becoming increasingly important. However, users tend to be reluctant on adding additional factors due to it making the usability more difficult by adding an extra step. In fact, Google noted that only 10% of its users utilize two-factor authentication on their Gmail, making in theory 90% of their users vulnerable to simple password attacks. However, utilizing any one of these will provide better security than passwords alone. Should your password be compromised, an attacker would still need one of these extra forms of authentication to access your data.
In conclusion, maintaining access to the systems we rely on every day would not be possible without the use of complex and secure passwords. Strong passwords are the single most important aspect of information security. While additional password complexities may seem like an inconvenience, creating a strong and secure password is vital for safeguarding the systems you rely on every day. Do not fool yourself by thinking you are too insignificant to be hit by an attack. Everyone is a potential target. With data breaches happening at an alarming rate, one cannot afford to have a weak password. Utilizing various methods such as abbreviations, salting, and the PAO method can make a password stronger and more secure. Remember though, that no matter how strong a password is, it is weakened by writing it down. Using a password manager can help alleviate the struggle of having to remember all the passwords, especially if you are using the tips we have presented when creating your own unique and secure passwords. We recommended using multi-factor authentication when possible and consider utilizing U2F hardware keys. Biometrics is becoming increasingly accessible and is a great password tool on its own, like with accessing your mobile phone, but it is an exceptional tool when paired with another form of multi-factor authentication. We encourage you to read over some of the concepts we have presented to secure your password security and see what works best for you, or combine them if appropriate. Lastly, always remember, passwords are the currency of the digital age and should be protected as such. Thank you for listening.